Welcome to the Crypto Odds channel. In this episode, we'll be talking about the DCTDAO ecosystem, or the DCTD token. So a bit of background information is that the DCTDAO is the creator of the first gasless quantum-proof cross-chain DEX that runs on Avalanche. The DCTDAO creates dApps for token wrapping and operates as a project governance platform, with the whole ecosystem being powered by the DCTDAO native token, which is called DCTD. The DCTDAO already have an operational cross-chain bridge from Ethereum to Avalanche that only costs a bridge fee of $2, and it's by far the cheapest in the industry. It's also built on the Avalanche blockchain, which enables super fast transfers and gasless swapping by using the AVAX token. It should be noted that if you decide to become a liquidity provider for any of the tokens on the DCT DEX, you can receive up to 0.3% of transaction fees for every swap that happens on the pool. Now as for looking at the token itself, we can see that it's got a market cap of $881 million. In the last 24 hours we've had $865,000 of trading volume, and it's got a fully diluted valuation of $2 million. Its circulating supply is actually 4.2 million. Moreover, the current token price is 20 cents, and it's fallen in the last 24 hours by 9.1%. And if we have a look at the charts for the longest period of time, we can see that on the 2nd of April, this is the recording for CoinGecko, we've got a price of $5. So as you might tell, that is a massive price difference. It's actually worth less than 10% of what it was currently worth when it first released. I actually think this project has a lot of potential, and I would be very surprised if we didn't see that actual $4 to $5 price range in the short term, say by the end of the year as Bitcoin is pumping. Now as for where to buy the token, you can actually buy it at Uniswap. Through a DCTD ETH pool. So that's the major pairing, and over the last 24 hours they've had 22,000 in volume, whereas you can buy it on a centralized exchange which is Bilaxy, in which they're having over $800,000 in volume. So in order to have a closer depth ratio, in other words a closer spread, is actually recommended that you go over to Uniswap. Although they have a lower volume, you can make trades a lot easier. Should you want to do more research, you can actually go onto DEX tools and you can explore the charts by a 4-hour time frame, daily, hourly, or 30 minutes, whatever you would prefer, and using charting analysis tools such as the MACD and the RSI. To give you some hints as to where you think the price might end up, and if it's at its lowest or it's at actually its peak. So if you're a day trader, I would strongly suggest using the DCTDAO DEX tools. Now looking at the Twitter handles and the background for DCTDAO, they've actually been audited. You can check this out at GitHub. They've been audited by Quill Audits, who's reputable in the industry for conducting audits. Their audit report was for July 2021. So if you want to actually check out their audit, use the link above that I've just highlighted, and you can learn more and go through the paper yourself. Now looking at their Twitter page, we can actually see that they've got 18.2 thousand followers, and they're regularly offering airdrops to token holders that are providing liquidity. They've also constantly been working on their brand marketing, and we're currently on the week 4 of the marketing calendar, and I've been lucky enough to be given a place in the Friday slot. So if you check this out, thank you for viewing. Moving over to their site, we can actually see that they've got a pretty nice site layout. That's their little logo or mascot that they're using as an NFT. They've got quite a few handles on Medium, Twitter and Telegram that they're using with a big community. Let's have a look at the roadmap. So these are actual things that they've done in a quite short amount of time. such as the wrapping of ERC20 tokens, having a beta launch of the exchange, expanding their community, which they've done a very good job of. And we are currently in Q4 almost, in which we'll have a cross-chain beta, a Polkadot connectivity layer, new exchanges, and some wrapped protocols that are going to be introduced, as well as more partner developments. Looking at their partners, they're partnered with CryptoTotem, Nubium, Decremist, TrustSwap, which is their major partner, in which they actually started off having a launchpad over there, which I was introduced to the token and the community initially. They've also got Dutch crypto investors involved, Crypto Chainware, Ninja Promotion, Tokenomics, Link, IssueWire, and BTC Hunters. Now if we actually go into the DCTDAO bridge, which you can find on their webpage at the top under DEX, you'll come across this DEX if you're onto the Ethereum network. So you can actually bridge across your assets. So prior to this, you won't actually be able to do any swaps because you have to use the Avalanche system first. So what you would do is you go to the bridge. So source chain, you would have Ethereum, destination, Avalanche. You input your token, ETH, DCTD, Spider, TOK, or USDT. And what you do is you input the amount of the asset. So if you wanted 1,000, you would type that in, and then you would go to native. So what this actually means, this percent, is how much of the native Avalanche token you want. So when you're actually making a swap over to their Avalanche platform, you might need some AVAX tokens in order to make trades. So you might want to set this at 1%, 2%. You can even set it up to 10% of the tokens. So what that means is 10% of the 1,000 USDT is going to be transferred into the AVAX token, and the other 90% you'll have in the USDT token. So if you were to trade you wanted to bridge USDT across and then use, let's say, the Avalanche ecosystem to trade into DCTD as an Avalanche token, then you could do that and you would actually have enough to make that transaction using an amount. So my suggestion is, if you don't have any AVAX tokens, definitely use the native function. However, if you've got some AVAX tokens, then I would set this to 0, and that means you'll be given the full amount that you've input. And the actual cost to do this is the cost of a Ethereum transaction, so following whatever the gas fees are, and a very small bridging fee across of under $2, which is amazing. It's the cheapest in actually all the ecosystems to move tokens across. Once you've actually moved your tokens across to the Avalanche ecosystem, you'll be able to click on this area and you'll have your balance come up, whether it was a DCTDAO token, so you can actually transfer ERC20 DCTDAO tokens across to the Avalanche ecosystem and trade there, which is what I constantly use. You can get your DUSDT with. So what that is it's a wrapping of their token across to the Avalanche ecosystem. So you would enter your whatever other token you want. They offer Spider, Spore, TOK, USDT, Verzo tokens, and everything that's on this list is what they're offering. As for the price discrepancies, they're currently working on that, but that requires more liquidity providers, and so it's more on the liquidity provision. So if I was to try and make a trade of 10 AVAX, there's actually not liquidity for the AVAX and the TOK token yet. However, the DCTDAO is where majority of the assets are pooled into. So if I was to make a 10 AVAX trade, which is roughly $400, $500, I'd be able to get 2,000 DCTDAO tokens, and this would impact the price by 2.21%. As for the minimum received, generally whenever you make a trade, that is the number that you'll be receiving. Fluctuations don't really happen within this ecosystem just due to the amount of volume that's traded over time. Their liquidity provider fee is very small, 0.03 AVAX tokens, and it essentially costs less than dollars, so maybe 50 cents to a dollar to make an entire trade. And this is like much better than the Uniswap system or anything else that's on the Ethereum ecosystem, where you're making trades that could cost you upwards of 30 to say $50, $60 depending on the amount of fluctuations in people that are using the ecosystem. So saying you want to actually get your tokens out of the Avalanche ecosystem over to the Ethereum system, you'd click on the bridge, and you would, once again, like we've covered before, you'd put a source chain of Avalanche mainnet, the destination chain is Ethereum, and you would input your tokens. Say you wouldn't be able to do AVAX because AVAX is not ERC20 compatible, but let's say DCTDAO. You can actually turn the native tokens back into Ethereum if you would like to do that to save on fees. Otherwise, you can set this to 0 and you'll get 1000 DCTDAO tokens transferred back to the Ethereum network. Now when you're bridging back across to the Ethereum mainnet, the bridging fee is actually 7 AVAX, and this fee is actually paid to relayers for executing the transaction on the destination chain. In my opinion, I think this is pretty high, and I would essentially keep my tokens in the Avalanche network. However, you're free to do as you like if you wanted to go back and forth. But I wouldn't advise on bridging back and forth too much just because of that 7 AVAX fee. However, it's extremely cheap to bridge into the Avalanche mainnet. So that's everything you need to know about the DCTDAO ecosystem. In my personal opinion, I think that DCTDAO is a great token with a great team. They're doing a lot of different things that many other DEXs haven't actually done, and they're integrating with Avalanche, which is now the go-to ecosystem for cheap and gasless fee trades. Which is great for the ecosystem of Ethereum because it's lightening the load, which is what a lot of people were calling for. So that's all for today. Thank you for viewing my video. If you would like to subscribe, I would really appreciate that, and peace out.